If we get involved in the conflict in the Middle East, the markets will go down initially. The markets will go down initially. What you guys have to realize is that throughout history, there have been a lot of wars. There have been a lot of wars that the U.S. has been involved in, and there have been a lot of wars the U.S. has not been involved in. Every single time throughout history, when the United States has gotten into a war, the market's initial reaction of uncertainty of outcome causes a drop, but in the long run, that ends up being a buy. Every single time. You can go all the way back to the Korean War. Go all the way back to the Korean War. Every single time that you had any type of occurrence, it was a drop, and then the markets ended up recovering and moving to the upside. So any drop on the U.S. entering the situation in the Middle East, I think is an opportunity for people to start selectively looking to add in your long-term portfolio. The biggest reason why you'd see that decline is because oil prices will skyrocket. Oil prices will go higher because if Iran gets involved, the U.S. gets involved, the U.S. sanctions Iranian oil, and that's going to be a problem for oil supply, and that would cause oil prices to move higher. You just got really weak economic data come out of Europe, and that's why oil prices have come down the last 2 days. Oil has actually sold off the last couple of days. Oil has pulled back. And that's because of demand concerns, because Europe's economy is nowhere near as strong as the United States, not even close. They're actually having a tough time in Europe. So there's concerns there about demand for oil. That's why oil pulled back. But if you take Iranian oil off of the market, and there's sanctions there, and there's war and there's conflict in the Middle East that expands outside of just Gaza and southern Israel, then you have concerns about oil shipments that go through the Strait of Hormuz, like a ridiculous amount. I forgot the exact percentage. I used to know it. It's like 20-something% of all the world's oil goes through that area. And if there's real serious military conflict with Iran, that's going to be a problem. And that would put a damper on oil supply. Oil prices then start to spike higher, and that would cause stock prices to move to the downside. It would also cause potentially inflation to start to tick back up, and that's a problem. And that's why the markets would initially sell off to the downside.